Welcome to Vanran10 on sports. So what are we going to talk about today? I think we're going to talk a little bit about Roger Goodell. He's kind of been in the news a little bit lately because of the whole thing that's going on with the Al Jazeera controversy about the steroids, the performance-enhancing drugs, whatever it is. And he's talking about if the players in question don't meet up with him, he's going to suspend him. A lot of people are starting to say maybe he's pushing his power around again. Now he's had, in the last couple of years, he's kind of had an image issue. He screwed up the whole Ray Rice thing. I get it. He should have given him a lot more of a suspension at first than just the 2 games. So he did screw that up. At the time, he felt 2 games was enough. It wasn't until public outcry basically said, no, it's not. Then he suspended him basically for the whole season, and that's turned into basically his career. Ray Rice has not played another NFL game since. Should he? I don't know. Probably not. But that's an issue for another time. If he was a great NFL player still, somebody would have signed him. This isn't, for the NFL, it's not a moral issue. They can pretend it's a moral issue because they can say, well, we don't want him. But the fact of the matter is, if he was still rushing for 1,500 yards and scoring, 15 to 20 touchdowns, somebody would forgive him and sign him. They did with Greg Hardy, for Pete's sake. So, let's not pretend like all of a sudden every NFL team has a conscience and they're keeping him out for that reason. They're keeping him out because he's done. He's just not capable of performing at a high level anymore. But Roger Goodell got himself in trouble for that, only given the 2-game suspension initially. A lot of public outcry said, how dare you? Rightfully so. He flipped the script and he changed the suspension. And what are you going to do if you're the NFLPA? You can't exactly defend the guy very vigorously for what he did. You just kind of have to shrug your shoulders and go, what do you want us to do, Ray? I mean, we get it, you pay your dues like everybody else, but, most of them didn't, punch their girlfriends right in the face on an elevator on camera. So, sorry, Ray, but you're probably going to be going this one alone. Then, of course, came Deflategate. The whole problem with the footballs with Tom Brady. Once again, everybody felt like he handled that one poorly. Everybody in New England thought he handled it poorly. A lot of the media, for some reason, thinks he handled it poorly. Honestly, what do I think? I've got another show with another person I do where I've talked about this. I still think Tom Brady cheated. Do I think he should have got 4 games? Probably not. A little harsh. But as a, not exactly the biggest Patriot fan in the world, I can't say that watching them probably struggle for the first 4 games of the season with Garoppolo, I'm not going to say that's not going to make me a little bit happy. So I'm hoping to God that the first initial people that watch this aren't from the greater New England area, or otherwise I will get lots of, dislikes on my video. And let's face it, when nobody's even liking the videos yet, dislikes probably aren't going to help me any. Can YouTube take money away from somebody who's not getting money for these? I don't know, but maybe, but I don't think so. So Roger Goodell, basically, he's had a few image issues. A lot of the whole thing with Roger Goodell was, he's pushing his power too much. He's abusing his power. That depends on how you look at it. When Roger Goodell came into this job in 2006, the players were starting to become a little, rambunctious. They were starting to get a little out of control. You were starting to have too many discipline issues that weren't being disciplined by Tagliabue. Tagliabue kind of just, there were some discipline protocols in place, but not a lot of them. There wasn't a lot that the NFL could really get behind and say, we can suspend you, we can do this if you're disrespectful, if you embarrass the Shield, we can do this. They didn't have any of those real, strict rules in place. Goodell came in basically as the sheriff and said, I'm tired of it. I'm tired of you embarrassing the Shield. The owners are tired of it. And we need to change the culture. We need you to realize that playing in the NFL is a privilege, not a right. You don't just get to play in the NFL just because you want to. It really is. It is, it is a gift. If you get to play in it, you should consider it a gift, because these people get to choose whether or not you stay or go, and you're part of an elite fraternity if you get to play NFL football. So Roger Goodell came in and he wanted to change the culture. Came in 2006, and he basically started to change the culture. He started to hold players accountable for bad behavior. Now, you're going to probably wonder where do I sit on the whole Roger Goodell thing. I support the guy. I think that the players need to be more respectful. This is a $9 billion a year industry. It is America's favorite sport. We all love to watch it religiously. We can't wait for football season. Fantasy football has become a huge deal. Even the NFL draft. I mean, the NFL draft now gets watched by millions of people, and it's on in prime time now. You look back into the early 80s, ESPN was showing this thing in the middle of the day and nobody cared. Now, you have ESPN, NFL Network covering it with full staffs. As many as, they pan back and forth to as many as 10 different people throughout the day, talking to, Adam Schefter, Chris Berman, you're bouncing around to Jaworski, and then you're talking to Mayock, and you're talking to, all of the NFL networks, we've got a breaking story on why this guy is slipping down the draft board. Nobody wants him. I get it. So, as it sits, I would say that Roger Goodell has done a great job in expanding the brand. He's done a great job in making it bigger. But is he abusing his power? Well, maybe a little bit. He might be a little bit too power hungry, but I'll tell you this right now, the players have to respect that. And the players have nobody to blame but themselves. In the collective bargaining agreement, they agreed to this. They said, sure, he can have that power. We don't care. We just want more money. They get more money, but Goodell got more power. I think Goodell has done what he can. Now, understand this. Roger Goodell is kind of disciplining people in this way because he's been told that he can. And the owners are not stopping him. And do you know why? Because the owners want this level of discipline as well. The owners don't want their players getting in trouble with the police. The owners don't want their players embarrassing their team and and becoming a burden to their city. So the owners want this to be as squeaky clean as possible as well. So they're going to be behind Goodell. Everybody kept saying, well, Goodell's job is in jeopardy. No, it's not. I've never heard any of the owners say that we're thinking of firing Roger Goodell. And the owners are the guys who are his bosses. We're not his bosses. The press aren't his bosses. He's got 32 bosses. That's even worse than Office Space's 8. But he has 32 bosses that he's got to make happy. Well, I think he's done relatively well in making them happy. I think a couple of the image issues are concerning them a bit. But he has led the NFL into this spot. This is the greatest, it's making the most money it's ever made. It's our number one sport. The concussion protocol thing has been tough. He's made some missteps there. The NFL has made a lot of missteps in the concussion talks. I think they've settled the lawsuit with the players that were suing the NFL on the concussion lawsuits. So I think the NFL, they're trying, but there is no way to stop a concussion. There's really not. Unless you just want to play flag football, you can't stop concussions. You can make the helmets as tough as you want, but and put neck rolls on their backs or something to keep their heads from doing too much. But concussion is basically caused by the brain bouncing off the inside of the cranium. And there's just a little bit of fluid that's keeping that from the inside of your brain box. And that fluid doesn't always stop it. So when it slams into the front of your, slams into the front of your dome on the inside, it's going to get a bruise. You can't stop that unless you can come up with some foam or something that you can insert into your ear that'll go into your brain somehow. to act as a cushion that won't kill you instantly. Concussions are going to happen in a violent gladiator type sport that NFL football is. So that all being said, I think Roger Goodell has done a very good job in the NFL. I think he has tried to cure a lot of these discipline problems. Now, he has made some missteps because I don't think he really knew how people were going to react to certain decisions. Personally, I think, with the domestic violence thing, especially if you get convicted of domestic violence, or there is 100% proof that you did what they say you did, I think you should lose a season. Plain and simple. You should lose your season. That will probably keep these players from honoring the fact that, you're a big, gigantic human being that can beat up other men. Why are you picking on women? Why are you beating them up? There's no reason to. You want to get in a fight, go beat up some guy that's your size. Quit picking on the women, that are in your life. Leave them alone. Keep your hands off of them. And I think if you basically say you're going to miss a season, if you're convicted of this, you will lose a year of your salary and of your career. The NFL career is short as it is, and if you lose a year of it, that's hefty. And that's big. And not to mention the stigmatism that goes with being a woman beater now in the NFL with the public outcry. That's going to follow you a bit. Ask Ray Rice. Ray Rice knows all about it. He's been very apologetic. He's tried to make amends for the screw-up that he made. But, it's been tough for anybody to really forget. Maybe he's been forgiven, but they don't forget. And unfortunately for Ray Rice, this will be his legacy. But maybe what this will help with is, it may deter other players in this age where cameras are everywhere. Even, people having their cell phone cameras. Maybe this will deter them thinking to themselves, you know what, don't hit her, don't do anything, because it'll be filmed. And then that eventually will turn into, well, I resisted hitting her in public. Why can't I resist hitting her in private? Why can't I just resist hitting women? That should be a basic thing for most men. Don't hit women. And, maybe these NFL players, these little things will click in the back of their head and they'll just stop doing it. And that's what you hope for. You don't want these giant men to hit any women. Hell, a lot of these giant men, you don't want them hitting other men. They'll destroy them. So can you imagine these poor women that have to, face, some 300-pound offensive or defensive lineman that's screaming rage mad and is hitting you? I mean, I would hate to be hit by that. I can't imagine what some poor woman that does not have anywhere near the strength to fight this off would, the fear that she must feel. So as it sits, Roger Goodell, you need to be tougher on that. You need to. You made the horrible misstep with the Ray Rice thing. At some point, you kind of need to address that, and you need to kind of come out and apologize for it and say, I screwed up. I know better now that this is a serious issue in America. Should have known it before, but he obviously didn't. But other than that, I think Goodell has done a good job. He's made a couple of missteps, but what commissioner hasn't? I think Tagliabue is the only one that may not have made any missteps, and that's because basically he just continued what Rozelle had already put in place, and he didn't really rock the boat. But he didn't really, do anything that I see as a fan of sports. Remember, I'm not an expert, I'm not a journalist, I'm just a fan of sports. And maybe his changes to the NFL were a lot more subtle. This video's already getting way too long, so I'm going to cut it here. Like, subscribe if you enjoy what you're hearing. And to the troops, past, present, and future, thank you for the freedom.